Oh, and here we are. Greetings and salutations, everyone. David Eon and the lovely Miss Lady Pop Hunter here in the Open by Chance Vintage Toy Museum and Media Lounge. And today we have a special guest, and of course, that is Ace from Ramen Toy.
Ramen Toy.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, because where he is, he's 12 hours ahead. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am, and you are where?
I am in mainland China at 7 a.m. on the 17th of July, Friday. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. It's 7 a.m.
Yeah,
so you're not like
hours.
2 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. So let's say hello to everybody before we get started. Yeah. We got Kay Munin, who's looking forward to the show. We got Saturday Morning, and we got David, who is Blue Splash. Yeah. And everybody else that's in the background and you're coming in, we want to say welcome to you. Again, we have Ace from Ramen Toy. He is joining us in the Open by Chance Museum. And if you saw, he was here in the museum a couple weeks ago after Joe Fest, and I did a short with him, and we took some pictures and we posted it up. And we want to say thank you for coming by. We really enjoyed having you and your friends here. That was very nice. So thank you for that.
No, thank you guys. You know, it was a great honor. It was to go to your museum. Such wonderful collection of nostalgia and memories. It's a fantastic experience.
Thank you.
And that nostalgia is what we're all about. I mean, just we'd like to come down here and just immerse ourselves in it.
Yeah.
And that's why we do any of this. And I think that's part of the reason why you're doing what you're doing as well. And for those who may not know, Ramen, of course, is an acronym. And if you wouldn't mind telling everybody what that means.
Well, David, of course, but of course, before it became an acronym, it was also like ramen, because the history of the name conception goes way back in the year 2000 when I was in Japan attending Wonder Festival. So Wonder Festival is an event in Japan held biannually, one in the winter, around February, and then one in the summer around July, August. And on that occasion in the year 2000, I was in Japan, and I was actually buying. First of all, Wonder Festival is an event where sculptors and artists go and display their sculptures, and then they recast it in limited numbers, like 20 pieces, for a one-day license. So you're actually allowed to go apply and then get a license from the licensor for selling only one day with that limited amount. So anyway, I was at Wonder Festival summer in 2000, and I was actually buying a Macross. Macross in Asia, and then in the States it's known as Robotech, but actually it's Macross. Yes. So there was a brand, an artist that is called TANMEN, so Tanmen. So I actually asked my Japanese friend to ask the artist, what does Tanmen means? So his response was quite candid, saying that Tanmen is actually soup noodle. So like ramen in Japan, there's actually a Tanmen, which is like kind of soup noodles. So I actually really do love Japanese ramen, and I thought that I could actually use ramen as a name for my toy brand. But at the same time, when I do ramen, why is it it's not just me liking ramen, but because to make ramen is not as simple as the misconception that it's a very cheap product that you buy from the grocery store. To make the real ramen.
Not the 50-cent package, true ramen.
True ramen, yeah.
Yes.
So to make ramen, you actually need years of learning. To be a ramen chef, it's not just something that you achieve overnight or a few months. It takes years. And then to make it even more unique, to get your unique taste, it takes years of practice to come up with a broth that is uniquely yours. So in that sense, it is actually, ramen, trying to come up with our own brand, our own flavor, our own taste of toys that takes time. It's not just something that we conjured up tomorrow. We put effort to it. We as you see, we are revising the sculpts. We are putting in effort to make it good. So that's ramen. The effort to make the original taste. At the same time, when you get a bowl of ramen in Japan, it's not just haphazardly thrown into the bowl and presented to you. The chef actually goes into this motion of arranging the noodles so that they look straight in the bowl, and then they start placing the condiments in a orderly manner, right? And then they present it to you. So that's packaging. So we also take pride in making good packaging for the product. So hence the name ramen. And then along the way, I also thought that ramen actually could also mean that it's retro artistic, modern 80s nostalgia, which is what we're doing. But we're doing retro stuff. We're adding some artistic, and then it's a modernized take, and it is obviously nostalgia and modern. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Okay.
I didn't know ramen was that involved. I only ever seen it in the store. I've never eaten ramen noodles in my life, but I've only ever seen it in stores. It's called the poor man's
because it's
poor
like
man's meal.
It's like 50 cents at Walmart.
Yeah.
Because or sushi is another example. There's real sushi and there's the sushi you get at the supermarket down the street. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. But yeah, implying a deep-rooted quality control effort.
Yeah.
An ethic in the manufacturing of what you're doing and the quality of what you're doing is what's implied. And I guess and of course, who would know that just looking at it?
Yeah. So
a lot of
into the history. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people might not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what got you into toy manufacturing?
Well, Trinisa, I have always been a boy at heart, right? Even though I'm like 49 years old this year. So I started with He-Man as a boy. As a boy, little kid, my mom would bring me to get a He-Man like almost every other weekend. But actually, it's not every other weekend. As a kid, you think time in a different manner, right? So you think that every weekend you buy a He-Man, but actually that's not the case. Anyway, so I grew up with He-Man, all the 80s stuff like Gatchaman, Macross, things like that. And then as I grew older, as a teen, I started to say, toys are for kids. I'm going to do modeling now, right? Plastic modeling. You buy the Airfix, you remove the parts from the sprue, you clean it up, you make it yourself, you spray the paint, you do the weathering. Now this is the grown man stuff, right? Sure. But actually, along the way, I was able to mesh the accuracy and intricacy of skill modeling into our toys, because toys does not need to be so intricate, because if it's too intricate, it's expensive to produce and it's fragile. So there is a essence of making toys that differs from actual skill models, right? So I was able to mesh those two together. And growing up, I was not able to have any other career option except toys, because I was trying out to be an insurance salesman back in early 2000, and that didn't really work out to me. Then I started putting my toys on eBay to sell, and then that generated an income. And then from one thing led to the other, I was able to go to flea markets in Singapore on the weekends to sell my stuff. And then when I was depleted of my collection, I would go to Japan, hence Wonder Festival, attend all the different events in Japan, get all the vintage toys, come back to Singapore, put them on eBay, sell it. And that was actually my livelihood for a good amount of 3 years, until I started my own store in Singapore, which was a big learning experience, because not everything that you think works is going to work, right? With a store comes new responsibilities, like overheads of a rental. You got to ensure that you're getting the income to support the store. So that didn't work too well for me. And then after 2 years, I closed up the store, and then I actually uprooted from Singapore to go to Hong Kong. So in 2005, I actually landed in Hong Kong via a referral from a friend in the US to look for another person who actually runs an e-commerce toy company. So I was actually at the company from 2005 until 20 like 12, 13. But the company sort of evolved because from a toy e-commerce site, they actually went on to make license, or rather they get licenses, and then they started manufacturing. So that was when I actually got my first taste of going into the mainland China's factory in 2007 to oversee certain productions that was done back then. I lent my experience, spring skill models to help with making prototypes. So I was, doing that all the while. So like I said, me getting into this thing was all the while. I was there from the get-go. It was just different phases of the cycle, right? One cycle was to appreciate the value, understanding what the toys were. Another stage was understanding what the sales cycle, the merchandising side of it is like. And then the other stage was getting into the production, the quality, the difficulties, the defects, the issues. So all these things combined, came COVID 2020. In 2021 we started Ramen Toy. Yeah.
Okay.
We got a viewer, K Munin. Do you collect anime Japanese toy figures?
Well, my collection is actually very kind of mixed up, in a sense that I'm not a true avid collector of anything. I do like certain genres like He-Man, Batman 89. Uh, I would say, what else I'm thinking? Transformers, but very specific ones like Kabaya. I don't collect the mainline Transformers, but rather I collect the Kabaya gum kits. So it's very I don't know, diverse and non-specific. I collect what I like, what I see is interesting. And then in regards to Japanese anime, I don't really collect those because I'm not really a big fan of the Japanese anime. I would say the hemisphere, right? Because there's so many Japanese anime. I do know them by name, like Ghost in the Shell. Like I said, Robotech, Macross I collect, right? So Macross I collect, but other anime like Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop, so many things, right? One Piece. I'm not really a fan of those because I don't really spend the time watching. I do know they exist, right? But not really a fan of those. So the answer would be I collect some, but not everything.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like the closer we get to the modern era, the less interesting it seems to me. Like if my favorite anime would be like Star Blazers,
There we go.
or
Yeah.
something like that. But getting into the modern era, like my son used to watch One Piece, I just couldn't get into it. It's just like, oh, come on. Or so I empathize. I
Yes.
empathize. Now, why the 80s? But because your focus from Ramen Toys seems to be like specifically on the 1980s. Why that decade in particular?
Well, again, Ramen Toy came about because we were tinkering in our minds about all these third-party Transformers companies that's out in the market. So why are they all making third-party of Transformers only? Who's making third-party of Silverhawks, of Centurions? So that's when we came up with the idea. Let's try it, right? Who knows? And because we do love the 80s stuff, growing up as a child of the 80s, and there is no attention given to these properties. And we know they are fans, although it's niche, but we're here to service what we love and those that love the same thing as us, more so than, oh, let's get something like Iron Man, let's make some money. It's more like, let's do something good first. And there was a quote that I wrote, but I can't remember it verbatim, is that true wealth comes from doing what you love, because when you do what you love and do it right, it's a natural progression that you will get the income from it. That was what I heard. Some kind of a very, it was a little
Something
saying.
like that.
Yeah,
Paraphrase.
something like that. Yeah.
That's okay.
You don't pursue the money, but if you do something right, the money will come. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
And that's actually one of the things that I like about ramen in particular, because people ask me like, hey, what's your top 5 toy companies right now? I can't think of 5. And I do the showcase every week on Friday, and off the top of my head, I can come up with maybe 3 that I think are really interesting right now, because they all seem to be copying each other, or they're all doing things that have never gone away. Like you mentioned, Transformers.
Yeah.
They've been making Transformers nonstop since 1974. Let us breathe. Let us breathe. It's overwhelming. And Ramen is making properties that kind of have been left by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
The companies have forgotten about them, but the people haven't. They haven't. Knight Rider, silly show. It's almost kind of like Batman 66. It's silly, but it works because David Hasselhoff plays it so seriously. He's as serious as a heart attack in every episode, and he's so intense, and it's just fun. And what has been done for Knight Rider, the Kenner set, which was like an 8-inch figure and doesn't go with anything, so you can't even make him play with other figures. And Playmobil recently, I think, did it. And so who's done Knight Rider? And 12th scale is the scale right now. That's what everybody wants. And it's like, who's ever going to do Knight Rider? Well, here we are. Here we are. Or the Dukes of Hazzard. They haven't been done since the 80s at all.
Yeah.
Well, there was that's a
no, when they redid the movie, they did a line of figures for the movie.
Did they do figures for the movie?
Yeah, they did some for the movie that came out.
The movie was terrible.
I heard the movie was terrible, yeah.
You saw the movie?
No, I didn't watch the movie as well. No.
We were talking to Ace earlier about Dukes of Hazzard, and he has never seen the show.
Shame on you. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it is a fun show. It's just like some mindless humor and stuff like that. But it's a fun show. You don't have to really think about it. You just kind of watch it and just let it go. It's, everything is far off. You know what's going to happen as soon as the opening scene comes up. It's one of those very predictable shows, but it is a fun show to watch.
You know what makes it fun is Roscoe and Boss Hogg's interaction. I swear they had no script. I think everything they did was just improv, but it works. They're so funny together. The two of them fighting all the time is so funny. If you like the Masters, you collect Masters.
Yep.
You grew up watching that, I assume.
Well, strangely enough, I grew up only recognizing the toy. So although I think there was the Filmation He-Man that was being shown on TV, I didn't actually get a chance to watch it for some reason. So to me, He-Man was always a toy and the comics, because the comics came with a toy. When you buy the toy, you get to read the comic and you immerse yourself into the artwork and the characters. And to me, again, the toy means different things to different people. It may mean something to a group of these like that, something else like that. But for me, He-Man is a figure that I see, that I played with, and the comics. So I have no real relationship with the actual cartoon. So that's what it is. Yeah.
That's interesting, because that's the same dynamic that you see also with G.I. Joe, because there's two canons. There's the Sunbow cartoon and the comics, and they're very different. They're very different. And the same thing with the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The little mini comic is very different from the Filmation show. The Filmation show is for a much younger audience.
Right.
And there are people who, in their minds, they focus on the different aspects. And for you, obviously, it was the mini comic, which was brilliant, actually, on the part of Mattel at the time, for them to come up with the comic book. But,
question that we have: which IP are you most looking forward to acquiring?
Oh, they're wondering what you would like to,
something what that you really want to do.
Love to get your hands on.
Yeah,
I know what
I really want to do Masters of the Universe.
You do,
because I think that I think that to have them in 1/18 scale, contrary to the popular 1/12 scale now, to have it in 1/18 scale, you can actually have your Eternia environment in your home without overwhelming your space. Because we know how big Castle Grayskull Snake Mountain is for the Origins, no, not the Matty Collector size, right? So classics. And so back in the day in Singapore, I believe it's unofficial, right? We had this little snack called kaka, right? You can Google it, right, in Singapore. So it's a little snack. So I remember it very vividly, and I'm still actually searching for any surviving, pieces of this thing. I would just pay money for it, right? So there's actually the little about this size. I would say it's about 1.5 inch, maybe 2 inch, of He-Man figures that the factory somehow copied the Mattel original vintage figures, but not articulated. They got the figure, they just copied it in its static pose, and they made little figures like that, and they make it as different translucent colors, and they put it into the snack. So you could either get a He-Man, a Merman, or something, or a Beastman, whatever. I remember getting Beastman and maybe He-Man. So I enjoyed like looking at a figure at this size, and I enjoyed like if I could build an environment, then that will fulfill the childhood dream that we never had. Because I think most people don't really have the full collection to display the whole thing. And I think the real magic of He-Man is that you can display everything just like artwork, right? You can have the castle there, you can have the Snake Mountain there, you can have all the figures there doing their stuff, Wind Raider, doing his stuff. But all this is unachievable to most people if it's in the classics scale. So I think that if I can pitch to Mattel, a 1/18 scale, much like Joy Toys doing with Ninja Turtles, right? Smaller scale, modern articulation, modern sculpts, detailed paints, and that would really, come alive. I think that's what I really want to do. A master's license, yeah.
And that's interesting too, because again, 18th scale, that's 3 3/4 inch, which is what GI Joe is famous for, and that was what really sold it for the toys for Hasbro for the 3 3/4 inch or the 80s version GI Joe when they resurrected it, was that they have for the 80s the best play sets probably ever made. And it's because they didn't have to spend a fortune to make something like the Terrordrome, or it didn't cost the factory a fortune to make at the time. And you have the little figures, and even though it's not scale, there's so much you could do with it. Or like the Defiant, the GI Joe Defiant. I would love to get one of those. It's a huge play set. I'm still on the hunt for a Defiant. But I'd have to find it complete, because to piece it out, I would go insane. But but yeah, they had the best play sets and the scale helped them achieve it.
So talk us through the process of okay, so the idea comes in your mind that you want to do this toy line, an established toy line like Masters of the Universe. How do you get from in your head to in our hand?
Well, in my head, I would then convey my thoughts to artists who are actually fans of the genre, because fans does the best work. So I don't actually engage an artist or a sculptor based on the fact that they are a sculptor or artist. I engage them because they are the He-Man's artists, or rather they're He-Man fans. So I relate my idea to the He-Man fan who's a sculptor. He sculpts something, and I straight away I see that we're on the same wavelength. That's exactly what I want. And then we can go about to prototype it, and then show the functions and show the product like we did at Joe Fest. We show prototypes, and then once the fans are engaged and committed, we can get them on board to help us to pre-order this. And then once it's done, it's manufactured at a factory, produced and delivered. Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Oh, okay.
Not rocket science. Yeah.
But also, it's important to get audience engagement, and I think that's something that a lot of the larger companies have forgotten. It used to be once upon a time they would engage even children, and nobody does this anymore. They put children in a room with toys, and they sit behind a glass and they watch and see what they do. What are they going to like? What don't they like? What do we need to change? And they don't do this anymore. And I actually talked to a guy who was working for Hasbro when they did Sigma 6, the Sigma 6 8-inch Joe series.
Yes.
And he said that, yeah. And he was like, how did we test market these? And Hasbro was like, we're not going to. And he was like, so no one's going to handle these. No one's going to. How is this going to work? And it didn't. It was not a popular line. It failed. But they have never gone back to it. I don't think any of the large companies, and of course you're marketing to adults, but you do need that input. And I think a lot of the bigger companies have forgotten that.
Yeah, they just come, they see that, oh, this is something kids used to like, so let's make it again.
Let's make that money. Yeah.
Not seeing, is this something that people would want again? And what do people want again?
Yeah, it is that the same thing that we see in our daily lives, where creative people come up with products for the company, and then marketing people take over to sell that product, and then it becomes marketing's baby, right? Where they don't know how to create, but they are just marketing stuff. It's time to get the creators back to be in the position of decision making, more so than the marketing people, or rather, have it hand in hand so that you can achieve your bigger volume of sales while not losing touch with what the customers want.
Yeah, and it's something that we talk a lot about with like movies and television, where people wonder what happened. Why don't we have good writing anymore? Why don't we have good stories anymore, or good acting? And it's like, well, they forgot, that they're taking a franchise and say, oh, this franchise made all this money, let's make money too. And they never recognize what it was that made that franchise a cultural phenomenon to begin with. What was it about it that made everybody pop? And they never look for it. And that invites you to start making all kinds of weird changes, and, oh, I'm going to make it like me, or I'm going to make it for this generation, or I'm going to do. No, that's not what anybody wants. Even the audience you're projecting to doesn't want that, but you never heard them. Never listened. We see a lot of that all across movies, television, books, comics, everywhere now. And and toys, as you discovered at Ollie's. When you went to Ollie's with Big Dub, and all these huge waves of stuff that they put out that sat on shelves until it went to clearance at Ollie's. Because they never asked anybody what they wanted.
What did you get from Ollie's?
Yes, I was wondering about that. The Ric Flair.
Hold on, let me make you big.
Yeah.
How do I do that now? Oh, this one? Hold on, I'm gonna try and make you big so we can see you. No, I did the wrong thing.
Oh boy. All right, well,
we'll just forget it. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I got this from Ross. This is not very cheap. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, 9. It's not Ric Flair cheap, but it's just $10.
Hospital Man was hilarious.
And I had to get this. This was from Target. It's not on sale. It's like usual price, but I got to get it because it's the Reza Ramon. Yeah.
So, are you a big wrestling fan?
Oh boy.
So yeah, I was a fan again of the wrestling of the 80s, right?
Yes.
There we go.
Back in the day when you had the King Kong Bundy, you had the Iron Sheik, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, this kind of stuff. And then of course, as I was a teenager, there was the era of The Rock, Triple H, Austin. So that's two different genres, very different. But because I left, I left the scene after that, so I'm not too familiar with the current, or rather the 2000 batch of WWE, where they had the other generation of wrestlers. So I was actually very fond of back in the day, and thankfully Singapore was able to broadcast some WWF right back in the day for us to watch. Otherwise, you would again, like the Dukes, I've not watched it because Singapore didn't air it. So without that media, then you wouldn't be exposed to the property, and you wouldn't have any relation. So I was actually thankful to have that experience, and I thought it was really fun. The whole wrestling thing. Only to know, of course, as a kid, you thought it was real, and then I remember back in the day when I would watch the news, and then they would announce the winner of the golf tournament, the winner of this tennis, and I was like, wait a minute, why didn't they announce that Hulk Hogan won the championship? So
that's our wheelhouse too, because we watch vintage 70s and 80s wrestling matches. We don't the modern. I don't know who's doing what. It's not the same. Bobby Heenan predicted it, because that's what they call the kayfabe. When they would stay in character, and so the people would believe it. And Heenan said that it's like getting rid of the kayfabe now is like a magician telling you how he does his trick before he does it. Why would you ever want to see that? And that, I believe it. When you weren't sure when you were a kid, it was a lot more fun, and we still enjoy it. Watching the old ones. The new ones, I don't even care what they're doing.
We got a question for you.
Okay.
Are you into gross out era in the 80s to early 90s? I don't know what that is. Do you know?
What does that mean? What does gross out era means?
I don't know. So, David, you got to tell us all.
You got to explain it.
What gross out era means of the 80s and 90s.
Like Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah, maybe.
That kind of stuff.
Maybe, but we got to get some clarity, because I'm not sure what that means. So I do have a question. Okay, you were saying how you were into how you got into toy manufacturing. Do you go to like school to learn how to sculpt and paint, or that's something you learn along the way?
Taught himself.
Okay.
So again, going back to when I started doing skill models, so I taught myself how to brush and paint. So I'm not an expert still, right? I will consider myself not a beginner. I'll consider myself an amateur, because they're the real professionals that really are able to have a good grasp of paint mixture, color mixture, the way they do toning. They know where the shadows are. So that to me is the professional, because as a kid, I entered competitions in Singapore to make the skill models, and I always come in second place, third place, never first, right? So I believe that I'm not there, and I respect that position. So in terms of painting, that's what I do. I learn myself, but I could not sculpt to save my life. I tried to do it before, because again, going back to Wonder Festival, I've always thought to myself, I would one day love to be in Japan, have my own sculpture, have that one day license, and then sell something that I made myself with my own hands. But I tried it, but it was a disaster, right? I tried to make something for Macross, right? The booster for the VF1, and then I just sculpted. I was like, oh, this is not looking good. So I could not sculpt, I could not draw, but I can do some painting. I can do direction on how certain things should look in a certain way. I would capture real life examples to show the sculptor, hey, I want the turbine engine to look like that. I want this to have meaning. It's not just a simple shape. It has to have vents. It has to, in most parts, I would like our products to have some meaning, not just like something that just is there. So that's what we do. In terms of factory and manufacturing, I learned it since I went to the factories in the early 2007. In fact, it's been almost 20 years, right, since I first visited a factory. So my experience came from there. going to the factory, seeing what it's all about, seeing what the people are doing, learning firsthand what is this and that. But I've never learned it per se. Although I could have learned it during my tertiary education in the Polytechnic. So in Singapore, we have this thing called the Polytechnic, whereby you learn industrial skills. I was in mechanical engineering, and I was just not able, or rather, I did not go into the tooling and molding subjects. I was engineering, but I was like doing things like thermodynamics, what have you, right? So there was a faculty that actually, if you had learned it, or rather if you're in it, you actually learn how to make tools, how to do manufacturing. So I wasn't there, but I was close. So in that sense, I was able to learn things like tolerance, how to use a vernier caliper, micrometer. I know the milling machine, I know the turning machine, the lathe machine. So I'm not a stranger to manufacturing. I know the ins and outs. I just don't actually perform it myself. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Okay.
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 I know that you've also, there's going to be, I guess, some delay. Just wanted to wind that back a little bit with the good old boys. Is that what you're calling it? Dukes and
Yeah,
Hazzards?
good old boys. Yes.
Yes. What and the delay? Why the delays? What's holding it back?
So the whole thing happened. If I can bring you guys back in history to the ramen racer, and when the ramen racer was being sold, I was told by people that, hey, you should actually do this in the General Lee colors, which we did as a tiger orange. But unfortunately, although the person that was peddling the idea said, oh, you will sell loads, but we ended up only selling 500 units of the entire 2000 production. So that to me did not signify a gangbuster numbers, and then we just made the amount that was ordered and call it a day. And then suddenly there was people saying, oh, I missed out, I just found out about this, could you do it again? And we've just held off because we know from experience that if we offer the same item up for reorder, the numbers drops even further. So for example, if I put the tiger orange back up for pre-order, we may get 100 piece ordered. So that's not enough for manufacturing. So we held off. But along the way, I would say in the past year and a half, there was more and more people asking for it. And then we thought, okay, we are not just going to simply reissue it. Let's make it better. What were we lacking in the initial release? Oh, the roll cage wasn't there. Let's put the roll cage in. All right. Oh, the initial engine was just like a toyish block. Let's make it more realistic, because as we know and found out along the way, that generally collectors are very specific on how accurate the car looks. So although we're not going to give you the most accurate car, let me put it up front, we're not going to give you the most accurate car. We do our best to make it more accurate.
Someone will find a line out of place.
Yeah.
And they will scold you for it. Yes.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're making toys. We're not making a replica scale model. Let's make this very clear. So we thought we had enough, right? We although the engine block wasn't ready at the time of Joe Fest, we were actually concentrated on making the figures, because we've heard it as well, right? Oh, make the figures, you're gonna make the figures. Okay, so let's make the figures, and this is to service two sides of the audience. The people who bought the car initially, they had no figures, who want the figures only, and the people who missed out on the car entirely, that wants the car again and the figure together. So we're actually proposing to list three types of products: the car by itself, for those that want the car; the figure by itself, those that want the figure; and of course the bundle, which is the figures and the car as a gift set. And we had it all on show at Joe Fest, ready to go into pre-orders. But then again, we were not satisfied with how the prototypes turned out, because again, it was kind of a rush job. Why was it rush? Because we had some manufacturing limitations for the factory. They were not able to churn out our prototypes in time. And then when they finally did it, it was like just in time for the show. So the colors were not vetted by me when it was being done. So there were some discrepancies to the color of the shirt of the characters. And of course, even it's good, right? We showed something that we thought was correct, and then the collectors and the people who knows the stuff give us the feedback. Oh, Daisy should be wearing a blue jeans more so than white. So let's change that, right? So let's change that. And then in the show, you don't have the right side mirror, right? So let's change that. So then, taking into consideration all these feedback that we got from the live audience at the show, and we can still change it. Let's change it. Versus, oh no, this is done. You just take it or leave it. No, let's change it. So we're going back to the drawing board, so to speak, a little bit to make the changes that was requested, and then we will have a new set of samples that will take pictures, nice pictures, and then have those up for actual pre-orders. Yeah.
How far out do you talk that?
So I think we're just going to be about a month away.
Okay.
Yeah, not too far off. Yeah.
Yeah, not too soon. That's the one thing, because I've seen some of your live streams, and I know it's a stream of make this, make this, make this, make this, make this, make Airwolf, make Blue Thunder, and it's like, okay, make Magnum PI, which you should make Magnum PI, by the way. But anyways, and and I just throw it out to the people. You don't want them to do it too fast.
Yeah.
You don't. If they were coming out with something every month like that, or every couple of weeks, you'd be complaining that it's too much.
Yeah.
And mistakes would be made.
And we've seen that with other toy companies. They started out and it was good. They were making like one figure a month. Yeah. And then you had time to breathe. And then it became a whole wave a month. Then it became a whole wave every week. So every week you were getting a wave of 4. And it's like, wow, when do you get a chance to save your pennies? So I like the slow going that you're doing. And just the pace is good, because you give people time to say, okay, I want to collect this. And then you pay for it, you get a couple of paychecks in your pocket, and then you bring out the next thing. And then you get some paychecks, and then you get the next thing, instead of putting everything out at once. And then you're overwhelmed, and then the quality goes down because you're rushing and you feel rushed. So I appreciate that.
It actually works both ways, Renisa, because for us to do a product, it takes money to R&D, scout, to prototype, to check, to re-prototype, to check, right? So it also gives us the time to regenerate, so to speak. Right?
Yeah.
On your side, the collector, you need time to get your funds to make a next purchase. On our side, we need the funds to make the next R&D. So it works both ways. It's not as if we are sitting on a ton of cash that I'm diving into diving into the cash. It's actually very different from that. We are also, so to speak, going from projects to projects, right? We are really a very small outfit. People don't understand that. And then again, it cuts both ways, because some people are complaining we're too slow. Like we're releasing one, Machina vehicle every year. And then they say, oh, you will take 10, 15 years to finish the line. We won't be around by then. But it's what we are. We are a small company. If we grow, we might be able to release 2 a year, right? But we won't want to grow to an extent where we start, coming down on quality and stuff. We always want the Kaizen. It's got to get better, not worse. We will not release the product until we're satisfied with what we have in hand. For example, even the Wolverine that we show at Joe Fest, again, it could be quite insane that somebody pointed out, oh, wait a minute, your barrel doesn't have a hole for the ammunition to go in. Okay, I think that's a valid point. So let's go back and let's make that hole, right? For the ammo, the round to go into the barrel. So we are making changes, right? So we want to do it as best as we can, but we're not fanatics to like, oh, it's got to be like 5 bolts here. Oh, this is wrong by there. Let's change it. And then you lose the fun of making toys.
Right.
If you are that fanatic into that Knight Rider fiasco that I was having, that everything has to be accurate. You're wrong, you're off. This is wrong. By the time you implement those things, you have taken off the joy from making the product. Because again, we're not a replica skill model maker. We are a toy maker that tries to make the most accurate representation as a toy. We have never said we are making 100% the most accurate thing you've ever seen in the skill version of the real thing. No, that is just bonkers. That's bonkers.
Yeah. But then when you told us the story of ramen, and then you see your idea for making a toy, it all fits. So if you were to just crank things out, then you lose the whole ramen theory that you built yourself on. And when you see the two together, it makes all kind of sense. So you kind of appreciate, okay, this is why it takes long, because you're doing it like the whole ramen thing, which I never heard of before. I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of sense now. I wish more people took that.
Then he would end up like the package that you buy at Walmart, and then all ramen toys would be at Ollie's.
Yeah.
So
but rather, Ramen Toy is on eBay going for 2 times, 3 times the price, which is not what I want either, right? That's not. I don't want customers to pay that kind of price for product that they could have bought from us at the correct price.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Are you okay? So I know you sell on your website only. Are you looking to branch out to sell like on Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth and places like that?
He has some with Big Bad Toy Store, I know.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I haven't been on Big Bad Toy Store in a while. Okay. All right.
This is something that we always endeavor to do, right? We want to put the products in more locations, and that's the whole principle of sales. That's the reason why you have 6,000 Walmarts in America, because the more points of sales you have, the more chance of sales. And that's just logic. So if we can have more points of sales, because again, not everybody knows Ramen Toy's website, nor are they comfortable to pay the shipping when they can get it locally. We understand all that. We're always actively trying to build our resale network with our wholesale customers. But again, we are limited also by this whole red tape of licensing. So BBTS will not be anything that's unlicensed, and then we lose a bunch because our whole spiel is third party unlicensed stuff. Although we are moving into licensing, right? Because we are not, number one, we're not here to infringe on licensing, to infringe on people's copyright. We are here to provide the supporters of these properties that are not given the proper products that they want.
Yeah.
And that is something that I've always been trying to get licensing to see it in a certain way, but I will be futile because the whole licensing is about dollars and cents. If the licensing deal does not make sense and dollars for them, they will not entertain it. Nobody is going to say, oh, you got an idea to make 1,000 pieces of this and you're going to pay us how much? $5,000. Okay, let's do it. No, because making the lawyer contract itself costs $5,000, $10,000. So they're only interested to make deals that ranges between the, 50,000, 100,000 mark. And you'll be amazed at how much money exchange hands with licensing. Because, for example, you have a dairy company making drinks, making milk. All they need is to slap on a messy face to their milk, and then they will sell more milk, right? But they will have to pay Messi millions of dollars, but in return, they make millions more. And that's the math, right? That's the math. But seriously, who the hell cares if I'm not offending anybody, who the hell cares if there's a face of somebody on a milk carton, right? To me, I don't see it. Unless, of course, it's maybe as a kid, you're buying He-Man on the carton. right?
Yeah.
And that's licensing basically, right? So, but our licensing is very different because we're focused on a very niche group of people. It is not the mass market. We shouldn't be given the same treatment as the other big corporations that's signing deals with you for licensing. You should be able to give a separate, you know, what's the word? A special agreement, a special, you know, thing on the site so that smaller companies that want to do something that elevates your brand, right? It's one thing if I deface your thing and
Yeah.
make like like ugly looking characters and then that's almost like poop, If we're making good stuff and we are elevating your property, you should actually allow us a letter of authority. For example, I'll pay you. I'll pay you, $5,000, $10,000, no problem, because I know nothing is free, but it has to be logical. If I started paying you 50,000, 100,000, then what am I doing this for? I'm actually doing this at a loss, doing this at break even, because at the end of the day, we're a business. Which CEO will approve a project? Oh, this is going to break even for us, right? You got to earn money to make the next project. So I don't know. I'm trying to get licensors to open up, which again I'll fail because these are all corporate people. They do not believe me believe or they do not care about your little nostalgia thing, but they do care if that nostalgia makes money and sell. They're going to churn out more nostalgia because it makes money. But why is it nostalgia for you? They don't care. And that's the thing. So anyway, coming back to the whole question, we are trying to get licensing done because we understand that if we carry on doing non-licensed stuff, it's not going to get us too far. And to get onto to where we want to be, you got to get licensed stuff. So hence the Gatchaman license that we have gotten. Hence the partnership with Factory Entertainment for the universal license. And then from here on, we're going to do more things like that, right? And then maybe scale down on the unlicensed stuff because again, the licensing people don't want to see you doing unlicensed stuff when you're doing licensed stuff. That's just something that they don't want to see, right? So we'll just navigate it along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and paying that much of an overhead up front is how a lot of companies end up taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you end up with a Queen Studios Joker statue with vinyl shoes.
Oh.
I will never let that go.
Okay. You actually can afford Queen Studios? Wow.
I was not happy with that statue.
Okay.
The sculpt is amazing. But the shoes are clearly vinyl. The shoelaces are vinyl. It's just the first thing I see when I look at it.
He the only person on earth that saw those shoes. Nobody else in the world noticed those shoes.
They noticed because the ones from Prime One Studios are cloth with actual grommets with laces in them.
Nice.
Yeah, but things like that do matter, and I mean, and I appreciate what you said when people come to you and say, like you were saying with the weapon, and it wasn't practical because it was no hole in there.
It needed a breech.
Right.
Yeah.
So you actually took that and you didn't say, "Oh man, screw you. We're gonna make it like this." And I've heard I've seen videos from toy companies, and they basically said that.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to hear you say you took that and you're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. We want it to be realistic. I mean, I know you can't make it exact, and that's understandable, but at least common sense things you address.
Because a lot of the people that are going to get that, they're going to do action figure photography with it. And so that might be something they're already picturing in their mind. Oh, I could have him doing this. Oh, wait a minute, there's no breach.
Yeah.
So that it makes sense to them. It makes sense to them. And that's important.
Yes, it does. It does.
So the what?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
trying to read this comment.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I jumbled you up.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's asking about Street Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what I was wondering? What happened with Silverhawks?
Okay, so Silverhawks was back when we were in our infancy. We did the
Okay.
80s Commanders, the Centurions, and then the next thing that followed was Silverhawks, because as a kid, I loved Silverhawks.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
actually never got a single one. I think I only got, did I get one? I don't know. I don't think I got a single one. They was just so shiny, so nice, and they were not cheap. They were
No.
not cheap,
Yeah.
I think. So I never got a Silverhawk. In fact, the only Silverhawk I got was back in 2014, I think. Either 2014 or 2020, I think 2014. So I was in SDCC and I bought a carded Quicksilver that was already open but still like on the card with the blister for 50 bucks. And I didn't even open it yet. It's somewhere in my storage in Hong Kong. I'm gonna have to go and get it back because I bought it and yet I didn't actually feel it in my hands to take it out and then I'll feel it. So Silverhawks was something that I liked as again, I didn't watch the toy, the cartoon, but I loved toys. And I thought that that was something that we can improve and offer it to Silverhawks collectors. And then I guess this is the first time exclusive review, right? I don't know, exclusive something. Okay, so Brian Flynn reached out to me on email and he said,
Okay.
hey, do you want the licensed Silverhawks? And of course I said, yeah, let's do it. Okay. So again, I have receipts for everything I'm saying, right? If anybody wants to challenge me, I will gladly show the receipts. So Brian Flynn messaged me and I said, okay, let's get licensed. And the idea was to pay him a certain royalty. And then basically what happened was that we had a contract drafted. Well, he drafted a contract. We signed it. We sent it back to him. And it was crickets. It was crickets for weeks, crickets for months. And then we even emailed them about, getting back to us. There was no response. We even tried calling at one point, but not me calling. My colleague called. So I'm not sure what happened there. But anyway, long story short, that we got no response from them whatsoever. But we carried on because that's what I'm doing. That's what I do. I carry on making the stuff, right? The packaging and everything. And then when I finally sent Brian the final emails, hey Brian, what's your bank account? I'm going to send you the money because now we are ready to go. We can send you the money. He said, don't send me any money and take off the Super 7 logo from the packaging. To which I said, sorry, I can't do that. We have already printed, right? If you want to tell me to do this and that it can't be done, you should have communicated with me along the way, not at the moment when we are ready for delivery.
Mhm.
So that was what happened. And then I'm not sure why. And then when I met him at PowerCon in 2023, he was just like, oh, we got some issues with the license, blah, blah, blah. But the main thing is that why didn't you communicate that to me along the way? Why did you leave crickets for months on when I was actually actively making the production, asking for approvals, is this okay, that okay, but nothing, no reply whatsoever until when I said, send me your bank account. I'm going to send you money. To which he replied, don't send us anything, and remove the Super 7 logo from the packaging. And then, of course, I heard him on Hebrew on a live stream, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, when the Hebrew asked him, oh, what's this about Ramen Toy and the Silverhawks thing? To which Brian Flynn, I think he responded, you can check, it's all on YouTube, you can check this, right? Oh, well, they wanted to do one figure and that was about it. No, we specifically showed them Monstar and Quicksilver. And we even said, should this be successful, we'll carry on making the rest of the figures. So it's kind of weird how Brian responded or addressed. It was what he was saying wasn't what we discussed. So it was kind of weird. But anyway, I tried to have a man-to-man with him at PowerCon, and he just said blah blah blah. I was like, okay, I'll just leave this. I'm not here to pick a fight.
Sure.
And hence, the Silverhawks just didn't continue, and also because I don't want to be seen as being defiant and stepping on more toes by releasing more Silverhawks, because we actually sculpted the steel heart, but we didn't implement, because we don't want to be seen like, oh, these guys are just the scum of the earth, So I respected some. We'll just hold it back for now. We'll wait for our chance to maybe do it for the fans in the future. The chance, and that's the story of Silverhawks. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because the stuff that they're doing is like, I guess they're trying to dial in cartoon accurate, but yours was more stylized towards the artwork. And maybe speculation, maybe they thought it was becoming too much like competition, and it's like, oh, we created our own competition with our own license. Wait a minute, Flynn, that's not a great idea. Somebody must have said something, but I mean, who knows? That's unfortunate, because I had actually shown, I think that's probably one of the first things I showed from Ramen Toys way back on the weekly roundups, because I thought that was interesting. Was that original Silverhawk, that original Quicksilver, and it would have been interesting to see where that line could go, because there's things from that people would still like to see done, and not just as far as action figures. I mean, I know like the Monstars limos were never done.
Yeah, or the that squid he rides on. What's the name of the squid?
Some inside baseball for you guys. So we thought that initially we had the 80s Commanders that's unlicensed, and we sold that many. We thought, hey, now it's a chance, right? It's a licensed product. We can sell much more. But contrary to the fact, we actually sold much less Quicksilver on our website than we did with 80s Commanders. And you can also go you can go to BBTS right now. They're still having it in stock, which means that what they bought from us is still not sold out. So it actually shows you how niche Silverhawks is.
Yeah.
For the fandom. And I really feel for Super 7. I'm sure they're not making a lot of money, because they have so many tooling they have done of all the obscure figures, right? They have done all the tooling for Silverhawks, and if my sales numbers is anything to go by, I don't think they're also moving large numbers. So
a lot of them are on clearance at Big Bad Toy Store. The Silverhawks line, Silverhawks and Ninja Turtles, a lot of them are on clearance on Big Bad.
So I think Super 7 is also trying to do things for the fans with their Silverhawks, and I do see where Brian explained about not being vec metalized, because the cartoon is not vec metalized when you see it, but actually it is. Actually, the cartoon is vec metalized. It's just that in most drawings they are drawing it in gray, right? I think there's a sense of there's like something's glowing, right? So I do see the argument, but I still think because they're called Silverhawks, they are actually shiny.
Now we know you got the Brave Star, and you're working on the Tex Hex.
Yeah.
What else you got in the future? You don't want to reveal yet. What you got planned for Brave Star?
Let me show this to you so you can have something. If you can bring this up, Let
me see if this is it.
This is.
Oh,
that's what
okay. Yeah,
that's what I was trying to do.
But he got something here. You want to see?
You got it. Yeah, there you go. So these are the sculpts that was improved after fan feedback when we showed the original head sculpt. You've seen it at Joe Fest. So there wasn't enough like wrinkled up texture. So we took the feedback, and our sculptor revised it to have more, wrinkles. And this is the first time actually showing this on your stream, right? So we're going to include 2 heads as well, because Marshall Brave Star had 2 heads, 3030 had 2 heads, and of course the Outlaw should also have 2 heads. So in line with the consistency of the line, These are the revised heads that were shown. They're going to be done for the pre-orders. So yeah, so these are the two hits. Yep.
Oh, great.
Okay, wow.
In regards to what else have we planned, I can't share right now because there are things in the background. Hopefully, good news. But of course, I can reveal that we have plans to make 3030 in horse mode.
Oh, yay.
And also the Outlaws right is also sculpted. That's what we have so far. Yeah.
The Skull Walker.
Yeah, Skull Walker, yes.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Any other projects you're working on?
So right now, the stuff that we're working on, again, I can't review because it's just too much. It's just too much.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm working on improving the REVs. So after showing the Revenge, the Renaissance, and the Receiver at Joe Fest, we went back to the drawing board to improve certain things, which I'll be showing on our Facebook pretty soon. Again, I'm sure that you guys will like the improvements. And then from then on, we will obviously open up the pre-orders for those 3 vans, along with the Good Old Boys. The Wolverine will be revised, as I mentioned, for the breach of the barrel. The Tank Commander for that will be shown with all painted samples. And yeah, we're moving along. You know, Machina line gift set is up for pre-order soon. The next Machina is already in the works, and we'll have all these on show as we get to the end of the year. But right now, what's the main focus is for me to get on the plane on Tuesday to get to San Diego Comic-Con, where I'll be showing off the actual production sample of the helmet. I'm going to have somebody review it, and then hopefully we can get more orders for that, and then we'll be shipping the helmet before the end of the year. And yeah, so as well as, of course, showing off other surprises at SDCC at Factory Entertainment's booth that you will see right there. So that's all I can say for now.
Are you going to be in full costume?
Yes, I'll be in a full costume. Yeah.
You're gonna just like Matt from Mask.
Are you?
That's the helmet he's talking about.
Oh,
he
wow.
made a 1-to-1 scale of the helmet.
Oh, wow. That sounds like it's going to be cool. I want to see that. I hope you take a bunch of pictures of that.
I will, and I'll send to you guys, for sure.
Oh, great.
Matt, the worst father of the year. He left that. Have you ever watched the show?
Again, Mask is shown at a time slot where I'm not always there to watch because I'm in school. I think I caught a few episodes about it. Yeah.
Because Matt used to leave that kid everywhere. And literally, the boy actually even dies in the first episode, and an alien brings him back to life.
Oh, wow!
It's like middle of the Amazon jungle. Stay here with T-Bob. I'll be back. And he's like 500 miles from the hotel.
Yeah,
he leaves that kid everywhere.
Yeah, he leaves the kid with the robot. They travel all over the earth to all of these strange countries. And he was like, okay, go with T-Bob to the museum or go do something while I go do something else.
And next thing you know, he's in the sewers under Paris by himself. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But Mask was a good show. I really like that.
Mask was actually a pretty fun show. I know it's very popular. I know that who is it? Jada's redoing them right now. Is it Jada or Loyal Subjects? Loyal Subjects.
Yeah.
Loyal Subjects. Yeah. Is doing them. But they've been very popular. And of course, breaking in the 2-inch figure scale line, and yours are going to be scale also, right?
Yeah,
the original scale.
Yeah, that's right.
Original scale. Are you going to Oh, I can't. Yeah, you probably couldn't tell me anyways. If you wondering if you're going to be continuing with that line or not.
Yeah,
I bet you the masks should be pretty popular.
Hopefully.
For people who are wanting to cosplay with that,
or just put it on display, because you have like a lot of like the Star Wars masks, the 1-to-1 scales, and people like just putting it up on display. So that would be cool.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do that. I've seen a lot of people do that, and there's a lot of options there. If you just did masks and not figures, there's a lot of options from the show. So that there's some good possibilities there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess we'll have to give you a break because we've been on for over an hour, which is fine.
It's great fun. Yeah.
But it's very early where you are, and I'm sure you've got to get your day started.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and we'll start wrapping up. I wanted to say thank you to Stone Sour, who made donations for our cat shelter. Ace, you didn't know that. We take care of wounded and abandoned animals.
Oh, okay.
When people make donations, they're usually for the cats.
Yeah. Same thing. My sister in Singapore has a little Instagram page where she actually do house abandoned cats.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They need all the help they can get.
No.
But yeah, we want to thank you. We appreciate you coming on with us and spending a little bit of time for us or with us and discussing what it is that you do and what got you into the whole toy industry and everything. And you mentioned they're going to find you at SDCC here coming up if anybody is in that area. We have never been to SDCC, but where else do you have any other plans for any other shows upcoming after SDCC where people might find you?
Well, so if you are going to FDCC, please do look out for the guy with the Mad Tracker cosplay. I'll be there. You call me out and I'll see if I can give you a little gift, right? So I'll be after SDCC. I will be taking a break in August, and then I'll follow up by going to Motu Fest in Cincinnati in September. After that, I'll be going to Shanghai Wonder Festival, hopefully if I get the pass, in October. And then I'll be back in New Jersey for November for Toy Unity Expo. That's my travel plans for the year.
Okay.
Of course, David and Trinisa, it's such a great honor. And thank you for reaching out, right? Thank you for reaching out to me to invite me to your museum. That was such a nice gesture, so humble. And it was so nice. I mean, the whole experience was so nice. I hope to do it again in the future. Yeah. Which I think we will. I'll be in Joe Fest next year as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We were happy to have you. And of course, you're welcome. You're welcome the next time you're in town.
Yes. You're not going to Toylanta?
No, I can't. I can't make it to Toylanta. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Joe Fest.
All right. Well, we'll have to watch out for Joe Fest.
Okay.
So thanks for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yes.
And we will catch you again sometime soon.